Hey guys, I'm Aishbanish and this video is just going to be another Q&A. I've got some more questions from you guys that I'm going to go through, so I hope this helps you out. The first question I got is from Fatima Ramirez. It's quite a long question, so I'm going to pop it on the screen and then just summarise it for you. Basically, she's had a tragus pierced with a gun and removed it, then she's had it done with a needle and removed it, and she's asking will it hurt the third time and how long does it take a tragus piercing to completely heal and close. Getting it done a third time is obviously going to hurt because it's a piercing. Whether it will hurt more than the past piercings kind of depends on how much scar tissue you have in that area, and since you've had it done with a gun in the past, I'd probably predict that you do have at least some, if not quite a lot of scar tissue. But the best way to determine that is to go back to your piercer and get them to have a look, because if there's too much scar tissue you might not even be able to get it redone, in which case you might need to get your other tragus or a vertical tragus done if you want a piercing in that area. If there was a lot of scar tissue from the gun the first time, you might have felt it the second time when you had the needle. So if that went through particularly slowly or felt particularly painful, then that could be an indicator as to how much scar tissue you have, and that second piercing might have even taken some of it out. But I really suggest going back to your piercer and getting them to have a look at it so you can plan whether you can even get it redone or what else you're going to get done. If you can get it redone and there isn't too much scar tissue, then you'll need to wait for your piercing to fully heal and close. And you've rightly asked how long this takes. The short answer is that how long things take to heal over varies from person to person and it depends on a lot of factors. For example, if you've had your piercing for more than a year, then it's a little more established and it will take longer to fully heal and close over. If you've had your piercing for less than a year, then it will probably only take 6 weeks to fully heal and close over. If that's the case with you, I suggest you wait at least 2 months just to be safe and make sure that it's fully healed and closed over, because you don't want it to be more painful than it needs to be, and you don't want a bad healing experience for your next piercing, so better safe than sorry. That's my answer to your question. Thanks for sending that in. Good luck getting your tragus re-pierced. The second question I have is from Michelle Chan, and she asks, is there a certain direction to twist the ball for it to unscrew? How do you know which way it unscrews or which ball even unscrews? She commented this on my how to unscrew a tight piercing bar video, and I have also actually uploaded part 2 of that, but I don't think she got to see it. But in part 2 I do explain righty tighty, lefty loosey. Screw right to tighten it, left to loosen it. In terms of whether both balls unscrew, generally if the bar has a ball on each end, they will both unscrew. So you can kind of twist either of them, whichever is easiest for you to get to. However, saying that, there are a couple of brands that will make one ball fixed for some stupid reason. It's unlikely you have one of those brands, but I'm just covering my back, so I don't want to tell you both of them unscrew and then you suddenly have one of those brands and it doesn't. And you're like, oh, you were wrong. So yeah, that's my answer to your question, Michelle. Thanks for sending that in. The next question was actually something that was asked generally on Twitter, and I then had a discussion with the woman who asked the question, but I thought I'd include it as it's quite a common question. Essentially, the question is, can you breastfeed if you have your nipples pierced? The short answer is that yes, you can. The long answer is that you can, but you need to do a few things and you may have less milk. So let me explain a few things you need to consider when getting your nipples pierced if you're planning to breastfeed, or when you're starting to breastfeed if you've got your nipples pierced. Nipple piercings can cause blocked milk ducts, and I've been told that blocked milk ducts are already a problem with breastfeeding, so that's something to consider. They can also reduce flow and milk production alongside that, so that's another thing you need to bear in mind when getting your nipples pierced or when you're breastfeeding. And milk can also leak out of the piercing site. When you're breastfeeding, you do need to remove your jewellery when you're feeding your child, obviously so it doesn't choke on it. And you have to bear in mind that you're going to be breastfeeding several times a day. Every time you put your nipple jewellery back in, you need to make sure it's really clean, because you don't want milk to be on it and then old milk goes old in your nipple and then somehow it gets in your child's mouth or you cause an infection or any of that kind of stuff. So just when you put your jewellery back in, make sure it's really clean. Since your nipples are changing a lot and they're probably going to be quite sore, I suggest wearing plastic jewellery, as it's just a bit more flexible and it will probably be more comfortable for you to wear during that time. But if you're going to do this, you're going to need to get new bars every so often. You need to do that anyway with plastic jewellery, but if you're breastfeeding as well, it's even more important to have non-manky bars in your nipples. Some people will take their nipple piercings out for the whole of the time that they're breastfeeding, but obviously by the end of that there's no guarantee that they're still going to be open. So that choice is sort of up to you. Obviously many of us will put our child's nutritional needs and safety first, and that's fine, but it is perfectly okay to keep your jewellery in when you're not in the act of breastfeeding. Just make sure your piercings are nice and clean and that your bar is clean and there's no old milk, and just keep an eye on them. So that's the end of this video, guys. If you want to be in my next Q&A, drop a comment with your question below and I'll get answering as soon as I can. Remember, you can get 10% off at wholeheartedlondon.com by using the code YouTube at the checkout. But thanks for watching guys, that's all from me today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and I will see you next time.